All right, we're going to talk about open houses and do. Don't think any of you guys have gone through this before. I've done this PowerPoint multiple times, but I don't think any of you, maybe Lila, maybe she's done it. No? Okay, good. Well, good. We'll get some open house tips for everybody. Um, why are you doing open houses? Obviously, you're looking for buyer leads, and I don't think we'll have time, but Rami did his first open house this weekend and has a couple buyer leads. So you're looking at walk-ins who have not signed a contract, or it's an expired contract. Those buyer leads are likely going to need a lender and some hand-holding. If they come in without an agent, they aren't super far in the process and probably aren't super knowledgeable. So you are going to be their hand holder. Know who to refer them to. Like I have a KV Core email template that is set up with these are my favorite lenders. Give them a call. And as soon as I know they need a lender, I send them that email from my KV Core and I follow up with them after, we'll talk about follow up more, but in Fast Cap, they're always, telling you to follow up. I will follow up with them and make sure they found my email and they checked it out and they're gonna figure out a lender because that's what they need. Seller leads. Nosy neighbors are leads. They're not annoying, nosy neighbors that are just in there. Like they may be looking to sell a house in the near future. They may be looking to see if you're an agent they like or if they're going to make the money on their house that they want. And listing leads are good leads. So don't write off the nosy neighbors when they come in and they're like, oh, I just live across the street and I'm looking. You want to remember that they are someone who may turn into a lead. Impress them with an amazing open house and how knowledgeable you are. If you sit there and play Angry Birds the whole time, they will never call you. Like, really. Like, listing agents organize open houses because they make sellers feel good. 90% of the time, you don't find the buyer through an open house. Although I have sat in open house and walked away with the guy that bought that house. Like it's happened. So, um, but amazing open houses impress other people in the neighborhood that are thinking about selling when you do a good job. And we're EXP, so agent recruitment is a real thing. So nobody that walks through the door for an EXP agent is a waste of your time. Like you want to build relationships with those agents that are coming through. See if you can help them. They are possible leads. Be friendly and know a little bit about EXP in case they want to ask you about it. To do an open house, you need super access to open the door. So you need to have joined the Northwest MLS. You need to have taken the classes that the MLS offers that get you Supra access, which are those boxes on the door. And you make sure that you know how to open a lockbox. You need business cards so that you can leave them at the house and give to guests. As far as giving to guests, you can have a digital business card if that's something you're more comfortable with, although there are some people that still like paper business cards. And if you haven't received your printed business cards yet, write something on a little piece of paper and leave it in the house because if you go into a house, you're supposed to leave a card. Open house signs, the more the merrier. Like you want to, and it's more important that they say open house with an arrow than they say man deep. So if you borrow them and they say Melanie, that's okay. It's better than not having signs. You need permission from the listing agent, and we are allowed to do open houses for people from any brokerage as long as they give us permission. And then you want to make sure that the listing agent puts the open house on the MLS because 90% of our traffic comes through people seeing that there will be an open house through Zillow or Redfin or something else, and that is from the Northwest MLS feed. So if the agent doesn't put the open house on the MLS, you're going to have a really boring day. Where do you want to do an open house? Now, sometimes we get to be really picky and sometimes it's way harder. Like I said, last Saturday I couldn't find one. I couldn't believe it. Um, but start with your farm area. So, Robert disappeared, but Robert's about to mail postcards to his farm area. So he should be looking for open houses in that farm area all the time. Like if they're getting something in the mail from you, you want to be there and you want signs that have your name in the neighborhood. Um, you want your signs in your ideal area as much as possible. Um, a house or a condo, although gated, is not great. So if it's a gated condo or community, that's a lot harder to get people into. People like easy. Um, Are you looking, what is your target audience? Are you looking for over or under $1 million? I like the out of town ones, but in city really does have better traffic in town. So, consider what your target audience is. Also, I don't remember if I go through this again in a bit. Like a $2 million house, a $3 million house is not a starter house. Like the ideal house to do would be like a first time move up house. So like a 4-2, like what Mandeep's looking for is kind of, people kind of start in the 3-1s that are like smaller than they really like, and then they move up to like a 4-2. That's somebody who's going to have a buy and a sell, which is a bonus. Rami can tell you that. Like it's a bonus when you get two deals out of one. They've maybe been in that first house long enough that they don't have a relationship with their old agent anymore and they're kind of looking for somebody. But if you get to like a 2 million, $3 million house, a lot of times those are more savvy buyers and they do have a relationship with an agent that they've used multiple times. So you're less likely to get a buyer for like a $2.5 million house without a agent already. Or 75% of the people in there can't afford any sort of house of any type and they just want to see what a $2.5 million house looks like. Like there's a lot of tire kickers when you get into the luxury houses that aren't actually buyers of any type. When you identify the property that you want, call or text the agent and ask if you have an open house, if you can have an open house. If they already have one scheduled, ask for a different time or to make it longer. So do one before or after their open house, or do one on a Thursday night, a Friday night. Days are getting longer again, which helps. It's really hard when it's dark the whole time to get people to see your signs and decide to stop. But as it gets lighter, evening open houses get more popular as people are kind of warming up to the spring market. Oh, yeah, here I already said it a little bit. So first time move-ups are ideal. There's a large buyer pool and you're looking at the listing and the buy. You can also build relationships with a small builder, not like, like Quanta, like or like Trilogy or like the huge builders. They've got their own like on staff people. But if you see like one plot of land with like four houses on it, those are the small builders that you want to go build a relationship with. Can you be their open house person? Keep their spec home open while they try to sell the other ones. You want easy to access, easy to find. Security gates are a pain. Miles and miles and miles away from the main roads where you start signs are going to be a hindrance. And as I already said, luxury is not often a great plan. They're just looky-loos. They're going to have gates. Savvy agents have buyers, and there's just less buyers that are approved for that actual price point. Okay, you have the open house. You've got a couple days before the event. So you're going to make your own flyer. Use Canva Enterprise or whatever you want, but there's easy options there to take the pictures off of the MLS and turn them into a flyer. Make a squeeze page on KV Core, and that's something we may look at more tonight. Yes, Apurva.
So on the squeeze page, I was about to ask, and you said we are going to discuss that later. So, but I'll still ask on the KV code with the new rule. I do not see an option where you're asked them to send a message or They just say, you agree that we can contact you, but it doesn't say message or call or email, or just like you said, we have to explicitly ask them. Uh, but that's not there on KV Core yet.
I will look at that more for tonight because I know that I'll barely get through this PowerPoint today, this morning. So then tonight I'm gonna go over like exactly how I go onto the MLS and find houses for that I would do for an open house and go through some of the squeeze pages and flyers and like the other like nitty gritty of how I do stuff. So this will be a two-part open house lesson both today. So if you can come back at 9:30 p.m., great. If that's way past your bedtime, I will record it tonight. Send me any questions you have, and I will try to get them both posted on YouTube tonight so that you can follow up with both parts when you need to. So I will look more at what KV Core's got because Rami had some questions about the squeeze pages and stuff also. So publicize them on social media, on your social media. You should be sharing what you're doing, where you're going to be. Send them to me. I shared Rami's open house because I knew it was happening. But I've got to know, like I am not necessarily clairvoyant to find them all. Oops, if nobody actually tells me. Go door to door and invite the neighbors. You can try to do extra long if you can and do a nosy neighbor party or a choose your neighbor party before your public open house starts. Really, it's your public open house, and you just tell them that part of it's special because you're not keeping anybody out. That would be silly. Um, I just embrace it because they want to see their neighbor's house. Like especially if you're in one of those neighborhoods where like there's four floor plans and everybody has the same house and they want to see what everybody else did with the same house. Like it's fun to go in and see how people took that same floor plan and turned it into something interesting. So I just tell them it's a nosy neighbor party and they laugh and then they feel more comfortable to show up and they don't feel awkward if really aren't looking to buy right now. And that gives me better conversation points for later to just talk about how long have you been in the neighborhood? What do you like about it? And build some relationship. Ask the agent for the scoop when you set up the open house. Are there best features, hidden features? Do they have an inspection report? Any known issues? If it's gone in and out of contract, why has it gone in and out of contract? Um, I don't print the inspection report if there is one. I get a digital copy and I will email it to the people I talk to afterwards because it's always about having some sort of follow-up point for them to look for my email and add me to their approved list so that they see what comes from me in the future. Do your own CMA and area analysis. Remember, you are representing buyers, so you don't have to tell everybody that came in the house that the house is priced well. If it's overpriced or underpriced, tell people. Like, you're like, I think we should be able to get this house for less than what they have it listed for. Here's my comps. This is why I think that. If you're interested, let's figure this out and get a deal. Um, you are representing a buyer. You're not representing the seller, so you don't have to just spout whatever the selling agent has told you. Double check that the listing agent put it on the MLS and call all canceled and expireds in the area, like from the last 3 years, not like the last month. I'm talking about like a long time, or call their agents. Um, I have we did a lead gen class at a Wednesday workshop, and Julie went deep into calling the expireds in the area. And I can share that lead gen class with you guys if you weren't there. But the idea is not everybody who walks into your open house is going to think that this is the house for them. But there may be another house in the area that didn't sell at some point that would be the right house for them. So if you've talked to those expired sellers or their agents, if the names aren't available, if you call 123 Banana Street and you call the agent that listed it that had an expired listing, you say, hey, do you know if the owners of that house would be interested in selling if I found a buyer for them from this open house that I'm doing? And they might give you, they'll be like, no, they actually, already sold to a developer and the house has been flattened and it's not there. It just wasn't sold through the MLS. And you're like, oh, okay. Well, I don't have to waste my time there. I know what's happened and I don't have to worry about it. Or they're like, yeah, they just kind of wanted to wait until spring and they are getting closer. So if you brought them an offer, they might be open to it. And that agent is going to think you're a superhero if you bring them a buyer and they get to resurrect an old listing. And you now know of some secret off-market inventory that nobody else knows about because it's not on the market. So you can talk to buyers when they come in about, whether this other property is going to be a good match for them if the subject property that you're in is not. Does that make sense? So then you're keeping an eye out for a buyer for this other property that's not on the market that you know is pretty open to paying an agent. And you have a couple different houses you're trying to sell to people in the area, as you have people that show up to your open house that are identifying that they're interested in this neighborhood. You have more options than anybody else does. Guys, see how that's a ninja trick? So, day of, just before the open house, update your Supra app from home because you know that you have connectivity there. Most open houses are going to be, in civilization and you'll have some reception for your Super app. But if for some reason you're out where there's no good reception, your app won't update. It needs to update every day for like the right codes and you won't get the door open. So update your Super app before you come home. You just open the app on your phone and update it. Dress for success. Choose something professional, business casual. So not jeans, not a sweatshirt, but maybe some slacks or a skirt, a sweater, just something more professional. But it doesn't have to be like evening gowns. We're looking for the happy medium of we can be comfortable, but we don't look like a slouch. If you get there early and you got more time, go knock on more neighbors' doors and invite them to your nosy neighbor party. Tell them you've got snacks. Tell them, whatever you have going on. Or just ask for the scoop on the neighborhood. Get in there, turn on all the lights, and open all the curtains. You want as much natural lighting in your open house as possible. Make sure that the house temperature is comfortable. So I recommend taking a picture of the thermostat so you remember what to put it back at when you're done. Whether it is hot or cold in there, you want it to be probably, 72-ish. So if it's cold in there, turn the heat up. If they've got it at 80 and you're dying when you come in, turn it down a little bit and open a door for a little bit. Because you don't want people to think about the temperature when they come in. You want them just to be comfortable. Walk around and take a look and make sure there's nothing valuable or dangerous or any prescription drugs in sight. And you may want to, hopefully the agent will have prepared their listing. If you have listings, these are things you want to talk about with your clients as they prepare the house. Um, some people will even take the knife block off the counter and tuck it down into a cabinet so that it is not just on the counter. Um, I probably should be more concerned about those than I am because, I mean, it is technically kind of a scary thing if you think about that there's a big block of knives a lot of times on the counter. If they have a samurai sword collection, you may decide that something should be tucked under the bed or something. Um, Beautiful jewelry on top of a cabinet or a dresser, that is not a good plan because it's too hard to watch people. So tuck those into a drawer or whatever. Just take a picture of where they were at and know where you put them and put everything back again. But you're trying to keep their stuff safe. Put out all your signs, as many as possible. Try to plan from a busy road with lots and lots of traffic to the house. So sometimes it takes a little math to figure out the best how to get them all out. Once you're back from taking out the signs, you're going to unlock all the doors. Food and paperwork, you can set that up before or after you put your signs out and unlock the door. I generally do things in this order. Like I would rather not quite be set up, but have the doors unlocked 10 minutes early and let people come in 10 minutes early while I'm still setting up than miss somebody who is going by. But you definitely don't have to, if you're a 1 o'clock open house, doors should be open at 1 o'clock. And if you wait until 1 o'clock because that's when you've got everything exactly how you want it, that is totally an option. And then you're going to hide your extra supplies either back in your car or if there's a closet or something that you can tuck a tub into easily. Just don't leave them on the counter to be ugly. Special touches. Everybody loves snacks. Food is great, but consider you're in a house that's clean and beautiful. So I'm pretty careful about what food I bring. The picture there is similar to what I often bring, kind of a cheese and crackers. I'll do some fruit. I don't bring utensils because they're expensive and I don't need them. I have that little container of toothpicks and I just let people take toothpicks and then have a little basket for them to throw them away in. It's just a lot cheaper and it takes less space in my box. Um, I've been to open houses with chocolate chip cookies, and you see kids running around with melted chocolate all over their fingers. That always makes me nervous. I've seen meatball subs. They were delicious. Again, they made me very nervous. Like, you are just asking for marinara sauce all over this house. I tend to do cheese and crackers, a little bit of fruit, cookies, but never anything with chocolate. So I'm looking at like unfrosted sugar cookies, pretty simple, and a candy bowl. And that's kind of my normal. Drinks, again, think about what you're doing in the winter. I will do like bring a hot pot and do a cider or hot cocoa mix, but I only do those if I have hot glass cups with lids so that I make sure that they are lidded. But it is kind of nice on a dreary day. So that's probably the most dangerous food type item I will do. Otherwise, bottles of water. The little ones, people are just as happy with as the big tall ones. Like they're really not looking for a meal. So I've been buying the really little ones lately so they can just have a quick water if they need one. And or else you could do soda. Again, think about the colors or the flavored water, the canned flavored water or whatever. If it smells funky in there, air it out. So whether it's cracking a window or bringing some take and bake cookies, you want it not to smell funky. If the fridge is brand new and beautiful and has cool lights inside of it, I'm going to put all those water bottles inside the refrigerator and encourage them to go get their own water bottle from the fridge. If the fridge is not 100% empty because the house isn't vacant or it's not that beautiful, then I'm leaving the water bottles on the counter. Like I don't need to bring attention to their half filled jar of pickles. So,
Uh,
yeah,
Melanie, just a question. So, how do you encourage them to go? Because nobody asks you if there is a water, or very few people will
I
ask if.
just I tell almost everybody when they come in. I'm like, "Hey, there's water in the refrigerator. Open it up, grab it."
Mm-hmm.
Same
Okay.
with if there's a cool garbage cabinet, like where it's built in and like they pull out the drawer and I think it looks nice, then I will have tell them where it is and I'll have them throw their own toothpicks away in the garbage because I want them to notice this cool feature in the house and kind of be comfortable in their house. But if it's just a under the sink dirty garbage, then I'm going to have a little basket that they're going to throw their toothpicks in. So it just depends if there's a
Makes
feature I'm
sense.
trying to accentuate in the house or if it's not that impressive and I'm moving on. Um, Pack out all the garbage too. You don't want to, especially if it's not your listing, you don't want to fill up the garbage with all your wrappers and have them be like, why am I paying for a bag of garbage for this agent? I don't know.
Melanie,
Yeah.
is it customary for like if we're hosting an open house for like one of our fellow agents, do they usually get the snacks or is it something that we would usually do if we're going to be hosting the open house for them?
If you're hosting the open house, you are collecting the leads. So you are in charge of doing your own open house.
Okay.
So, I mean, once in a while, you'll see somebody offering to pay somebody to do an open house. It's probably because their clients desperately want an open house, but it's the agent doesn't really expect it to be a very good open house and they don't want to do it themselves.
Mhm.
So they're, willing to pay you $100 rather than sit at an open house they don't expect to be worthwhile.
Okay.
So be aware of that, and $100 may be worth it. You may just need $100 and that's fine. But I'm looking for houses that have been on the market for about 2 weeks usually, and we'll talk about that more tonight. The first week, 90% of the time, they already have open houses set up right away as far as they know who's going to do it. If I have a listing, then I'm doing an open house myself that first weekend, and I'm not giving anybody else the opportunity because I want all those fresh leads. Um, so I'm looking for houses that have been on the market for a couple weeks. And
Mhm.
I'm going to bring all the food because I want to impress everybody that comes in. And I'm not going to rely on what that other person wants to do. They probably won't do it like I do.
Mhm.
So, special touches. I've seen less kids at open houses since COVID. Those are two of my kids that used to be little and now they're 16 and 13. And I used to be with Agency One and I'm not anymore. So that's an old picture. But I have like 6 different houses of coloring sheets that do have my name and EXP on them. So the kids, when they come in, I've got colored pencils and the kids get to pick their own house, just like mom and dad are picking a house. It could be the haunted house, the doll house, the gingerbread house, the up house. I've got a whole bunch of them. And they sit in color and I give them a cookie if mom and dad say it's okay and hang out with them. And mom and dad get to look around without freaking out about what the kids are doing all the time. And they shop longer and better.
Yeah,
Um,
I was about to ask just one question.
mhm.
So you sit with them because I'm afraid if they will put the color on the walls or if pencils are there, then they might not poke in their eyes if they're too young.
I've never had a problem with it, but yes, I do, kind of keep an eye on them. And I'm usually looking at, 4 and 5 year olds and not 2 year olds.
Right, makes
like if they're
sense.
too little to know how to use pencils, then
Yeah,
mom and dad have to hold them.
yeah.
So, um, I've got the coloring sheets. I'll try to get the document posted again. Um, but if they don't want to take my card, but the kids do a picture, then my card ends up on the refrigerator because they stick that paper with my name and phone number on their refrigerator, even though they didn't really want my card. And they still have my contact information. And remember, I was nice to their kids and entertained them. So that's kind of my other sneaky way to get them to go home with my information. With a iPad or a tablet, you can use the guided access um, uh, service to lock a device into an approved game. So if you do want to let them play, Candy Crush or something, if you have a tablet that is okay for kids to use, then you can lock them into an app and not let them delete everything on your iPad. So I've done that before too, but mainly with my own kids. All right, we only have 2 minutes left. So we're gonna try to fly through what's left. Otherwise, I will pick up where I left off tonight if we don't make it through.
Melanie, it's GM.
Yeah,
Hey, I asked a question in the chat about where we can find recordings of like Julie's, and trainings, Wednesday trainings.
yeah.
Is there a database or I don't see them posted
They
on
um
VIP?
they put them in the Facebook group for VIP. I will find that one and post a link in our workplace. I'll just do
Okay,
like
thank
one
you.
big open house post with my slides and the videos from both the calls today.
Because there was
And
one on taxes and the attorney too, I missed. And
yeah, Ty hasn't gotten me those yet, but I will get them to you guys as soon as they get them to me.
thank you.
It just all depends on our turnaround for when we get all the things done. We're human. All right, security, you have the right to refuse service, and you can definitely require all guests to sign in. So you can tell them that that EXP requires it, the seller requires it, you require it. You can require people to sign in. Make sure someone knows where you're going to be and how long you're going to be there. So, whether that is a spouse, a friend, me, you can share a Google appointment with me from your calendar if you want, just so that I know where you're at and I know the time you're going to be there. And then text me when you're done, so I know you're alive and it went well. Like make sure somebody knows where to find you because there are unsafe things that happen. If someone gives you the creeps, call your backup person and leave the call open. Like I have done multiple calls with Julie when I was working with her on stuff where she'd be like, I'm not really sure about this neighborhood. I'm about to go in for a listing call. And she would just call and leave. She just stick her phone in the pocket with the call running, and I would put my phone on speaker and ignore it unless I heard a problem, which I never did. She'd get 10 minutes in and be like, okay, we're good. I'm not worried anymore. I'll talk to you later. And, but if you think you need a backup person, call a backup person. Just leave the call open. There are fake a call apps